Okay, let's do a bookshelf tour. I kind of debated whether to do it for this author or not because this author is being a real fuckhead, butthead at the moment. Um, Probably the most dangerous kind of butthead in that she's doing it because she's feels like she's doing something for the right reasons, but I think she's doing the wrong thing for what she feels are the right reasons, and that's J.K. Rowling. Um, I came to J.K. Rowling through the books as an adult, which I know is a much derided thing on, well, in certain circles of booktube, some of the people that I like, of like, yeah, I was someone who was sort of an adultish person reading YA. Um, it's not something I think where some of the concern for people goes like, I don't know. I don't feel like I need to regulate how anybody reads. If you want to read all YA, that's fine. For myself, it's definitely always been a mix. Sometimes I'm reading a little bit more YA than usual. Other times, like now, I don't think there's much in the way I read of YA. I mean, I read juvenile stuff, but it's juvenile adult stuff, which is like I'm reading Alona Andrews at the moment, which is I think is kind of it's fun, silly stuff, but it's definitely for adults. So yeah, I started off with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Um, yeah, and it's one of these like I picked up the first couple of books, at which point kind of the 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 zeitgeist was starting for the books because I think starting at book number three, I was living in Vancouver. I remember going down to there was a kids bookstore that opened at midnight and was handing out copies of books. And so I think Prisoner of Azkaban is like I'd read the first two; they had been out already, and then we went on to, you know, this is where kind of the hype train start. The hype train, the excitement, the enthusiasm starts. So that the rest of the books came out, and I read them. I read them as they came out. So all the various different, ugh, Jesus Christ, things, and then they're getting progressively more and more giant as well as it's sort of her. She's very much a plot writer. I think she writes pretty serviceable prose. I know it's one of these things of you start looking at stuff under a microscope, and you become a popular art writer, and suddenly everyone's going like, "Oh, your writing isn't that good." It's like it's a good enough for delivering the kind of the kind of like intricate little plot stories that she likes when creating this world. My relationship with J.K. Rowling basically stopped with the finish of the Harry Potter movies. I'm not a particular big fan of, not a fan particularly of the movies. I find that they're more of mementos for people who read the books. I mean, I think people read them on their own, but they're they are okay. Um, I haven't really enjoyed that she's someone who's obviously this is um, I mean, I'm sure she has a strong affection and obviously feeling of ownership over this series. She's really tried to shape the narrative of how it is going to be read. Kind of maybe some of her what makes her such a good plotter and kind of fixer of details is you get that kind of control freak feel from her of how she wants to manage this series, how she wants to position it. Um, you know, and there's Pottermore and stuff which I haven't really gotten into. I mean, this is stuff that I think in some ways she's wanted to set up an apparatus that children can continue to enjoy her books uh, as it goes along in the world, and the way to do that is to have a presence on the net. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty ambivalent about that. It's one of these like I haven't read the books in a while. At some point, I'll probably just kind of go back and enjoy them. That'll be in a while in light of her kind of recent, what are really transphobic um, comments, and it's the more she explains it, the more you understand that she is, you know, it's one of these like, oh, I respect and admire, you know, the trans people in my life. However, some of them are sex perverts who are going to prey on women in bathrooms. Is, you know, is unfortunately, it's the bathroom argument, I think, that kind of really broke it for me, because that is, it's one of those vile and kind of worst case scenario things that were used against gay people, and are, you know, and many of the attacks on gay people you see, you know, just you know, gay men or gay women are now is being used against trans people, and especially in the context of the UK, which has a lot of really vicious policies against trans people. You know, you can't but just feel really horrible about that. I mean, that said, yeah, my monetary support of her is ended with these books. I'm talking about the books. I'm talking about the books on a channel where nobody's gonna actually even watch this video, so I'm not like worried that I'm gonna be pushing her books. I think I know I have people in my life, young people in my life, people with disabilities in my life, who get a lot of joy and enjoyment out of these books. And I'm disinclined to like say, well, we should take that away. We should take that away from them. We should regulate them. I think it's something that, you know, as adults, you can have those conversations amongst ourselves as adults, that, you know, this is an author who's unfortunately shown some really retrograde attitudes. I think actually some of those retrograde attitudes show up in books where, because I think the Harry Potter books, with their whole thing of muggles and anti-muggles, Voldemort being someone who wants to kind of rule and wants to purge the mudbloods, mixes of stuff like that. And the oppression of various other magical races by wizards in the books, and how wizards are the one who become the saviors at the end, kind of mirror a lot of kind of white, very surface white liberal views of racism. You know, maybe aren't that great either. It works better, I guess, in a children's book series than it would if she was writing these books for if it was writing these books for adults. This would, maybe that those faults would kind of glare out more than a lot of the beautiful kind of creativity of the magical world, and just the fun kind of world building in them. So, you know, you have those mixed feelings about them. I think as books for children, they probably will last for a while. We'll see how long. I mean, it's always saying, I think they're going to last for a while. Whether they're books that will be, I think they're books that will probably get more and more taken apart by adult critics, though. And a lot of those adult critics being people who feel the need to do that because they fell in love with them as children. I didn't fall in love with them as children. For me, a series that might be equivalent to that would be the Narnia series, which has a lot of sexism, racism, homophobia in them, that have actually, but for all those faults, have at least lasted in my mind, and are probably books I would go back to. And I'm doing a reading of The Dawn Treader on this channel, so it's interesting to look at someone like C.S. Lewis in relation to some C.S. Lewis and J.K. Rowling are coming closer and closer together, I think, as maybe equivalents, even though I don't think the Narnia books, while super popular, ever reached the kind of the level of superstardom and megacellness of J.K. Rowling, which is what has made her so difficult. Like, if this was just a smuck author who had problematic views that was doing them on Twitter, it'd be kind of easier just to kind of dismiss it and put it aside. It's just how much how much influence, how much followers, how many people might actually get their ideas